Okay, what's going on, everybody? Who's in the house? Let me refresh all my thingies. Rumble doesn't look like it's gone live yet. Let's see, I'm getting an offline page on the Rumble. Come on, Rumble. You got it, buddy. There we go. Rumble's on. Here we are. Okay, what's up, folks? It's your best buddy Basil here. I'm just about to press send on the text message alert system. If you are not on the text message alert system and you want to make sure to get an alert whenever we go live, text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. That's the word Canary to 877-740-3226. Remember, you gotta text Canary. You can't text hi. You can't text I want it. You can't text anything else. It's got to be Canary. It's an automated system, baby. The robots got to see that word. Then you'll be put on the list. You can also join that by going to canarycry.party. Okay, over here on the YouTubes, we got Jilly Peen. We got Santa Wears Brown on the Twitch. 122 Go 2 on the Twitch. The Twitchers. You guys are so loyal over there. Let's see here. Liar Bliss. We got Liar Bliss on the YouTube. We got Dadalorian. Rami. What's going on, guys? Okay, we are trying our very best to get the show cruising today. Of course, Gons has got to pick up the baby from school. At about 2 o'clock. So we've got to be done by then. All right, I will just mention, sort of obligatory, October has been a bit of a slow month for the value for value model here. So, of course, when World War III strikes, the uncertainty is flowing and things are getting tight. We totally understand. And if you are somebody who has been affected by all of this in a monetary way, by no means am I talking to you. Never put yourself at risk for the show here. But if you're one of those people who is blessed and all the financial insecurity has not necessarily touched you in the same way that it has touched other people, maybe pray about it. Consider producing the show if you don't already, because that's the value for value model, baby. It's when you're in a place, you're getting value, you can put value back in. You are the one keeping the show alive for thousands and thousands and thousands of people around the world. And that's why we thank you for it. All right, timer's up. We're getting going. Let's go, baby.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is November 1st, 2023. We are live to tape on episode 684. And today, Deepfake Sorcery. Signing on from off the grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Dr. Basil. And you're not crazy.
And sorry, Mom, I'm not a doctor yet. My name is Gonz, director of the Age of Deceit films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from California to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events and today's emergent phenomena. Hashtag, it's a question, when chaos crescendo? There's got to be a crescendo of chaos, right? It can't just be up forever.
I don't know if the world is any example, starting about 2016 through the present. We've yet to meet the peak
Oh, not even
feel like-
close. I'm saying that's why I'm asking when. You know, at a certain point, we've got to start moving down a little bit on the chaos.
When Jesus comes back,
Yes,
basically.
that's a good. Yeah, that's a good. That's a good indicator. Yeah, I mean, there's so much going on, and you know, people are freaking out. I talked to neighbors. You know, we had the Halloween thing yesterday, so people are out and about in the neighborhood, and yeah, you know, the topic of the Middle East came up twice. You know, in conversation with neighbors, and I didn't bring it up. Okay, so let's just make that clear. It's not me talking about it, but it's on people's minds.
As we'll see on the show today, I mean, it's very interesting. It used to be that podcasts and independent media were sort of singular in their, I would just say, will to sort of point out the madness and deconstruct what's happening when it comes to, you know, communication, psyops, just the world as a whole, not just current events, but the presentation of these events.
The works.
The social ramifications of everything, you know, that used to be the purview of weirdos on the internet, but it seems to have become sort of it's like the whole world is waking up to the fact that there's more wrong than just what's going on.
Yeah.
It's very fun to watch, but of course they're putting their own sort of perverse spin on it, which we will be happy to point out. But, Gons, I guess we should get going here. So why don't we give that disclaimer?
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up.
YouTube. That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. That's right. Let me give you a quick rundown.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
Starting off the show appropriately, in my opinion, The Atlantic asking, or stating rather, that political analysis needs more witchcraft. Isn't that fun? They're just coming out and saying it right there in the headline. We'll be deconstructing what they're talking about there. And then, of course, Washington Times op-ed, the perils of thought control. Oh no, they're finally, the Washington Post finally exploring the perils
Washington
of
Times.
their primary product. Washington Times, sorry. Then, of course, Flippy, the robotic arm, now merging with humans. The time has come, folks. Is of course, we don't want to be separate from Flippy. We want to be as close to Flippy as we possibly can if we're going to survive the future. A little bit of clips here from Hairy Legs on his artificial intelligence epiphany, and then we'll be diving into some deepfakes. Man, oh man, here's the thing. I don't want you to get the idea when we talk about talking about deepfakes that you've heard this already. Of course, we've been reporting on deepfakes since 2016, well before anybody cared about it, and it's gotten out of control, folks. The psyop about the psyop about the psyop of deepfake is strong, so we are going to explore how not only deepfakes are affecting everything in our lives, but also how we should interact with our neighbors regarding deepfakes. And at the end of the show, of course, the genocide going on in Antarctica. It's time to vaccinate the penguins. But first, Gons, our lead stories.
Well, it's a day after Halloween. It's November 1st, but it's still appropriate.
This girl must be practicing witchcraft.
Yeah, so we're going to start off with scripture, actually. And I want to set this up before we get into the Atlantic article because just to give away the punchline right at the beginning so people can recognize it when it happens a little bit clearer. So starting with Revelation 17, the very end, you know, it's talking about Mystery Babylon. And verse 18 here, it says, "The woman you saw is the great city that rules over the kings of the earth." So there's a great city, not just some spiritual thing, but alleged city. And then Revelation 18 is all about how Babylon falls. Mystery Babylon falls starting in verse 9, the kings of the earth who committed sexual immorality and lived in luxury with her will weep and wail at the sight of the smoke rising from the fire that consumes her. And then verse 11, the merchants of the earth will weep and mourn. And verse 15 talks about how the merchants who sold these things, and they list a bunch of stuff here, which I believe, whoa, fire truck going down.
Fire truck.
It's okay. Hold on. I might have to grab this fire truck before.
It really is interesting, folks. When we're getting ready for the show, the kid is absolutely silent. Absolutely silent. The best kid in the world. It is only when we go live that he decides that fire trucks should fly and things like that.
He knows. Okay, so verse 15, the merchants who sold these things, which are the items that make the temple wealthy there in Revelation 18. So, the city is a net importer, by the way, just to recognize that. And then the shipmasters, passengers, and sailors, all who make their living from the sea, will stand at a distance and cry out. And of course, they're talking about the end of Babylon. And now in the context from verse 21, the mighty angel picks up a stone the size of a great millstone and casts it into the sea. And it's talking about the doom of Babylon at the very end here, verse 23. Your merchants were the great ones of the earth because all the nations were deceived by your sorcery. That word sorcery there being pharmakia, and we've talked about how that applies to a lot that's happening. And then verse 24, and there was found in her the blood of the prophets and saints and all who had been slain on the earth, which is a very strong claim about the blood of the prophets and saints, because you go to Luke 13:33, and it says how this is Jesus talking in Luke. Nevertheless, I must walk to day and tomorrow and the day following, for it cannot be that the prophet perish out of Jerusalem. So all the prophets, I believe, except I think there may be one that historically was not martyred in Jerusalem or in that area. So that kind of gives away what the city is. But in the context, we're talking about the sorcery of the merchants, which leads us to this Atlantic article here. Headline, which they changed, by the way, Basil. I think they updated it, or I don't know. My headline is different from the one that I got the screenshot for. It says now, belief in magic drives politics more than you think. Well, yeah. The one that I had before was a little bit more direct with the witchcraft. I forget what it was, though. But here's what it says. And then, of course, it's sort of anecdotal at the beginning. A decade ago, I arrived in Antananarivo, the capital of Madagascar, for my first stint of field research into the island's volatile politics. While unpacking in my hotel room, I heard sporadic celebrations erupting in the streets below. Confused, I asked a jubilant man what was going on. The army captured the militia's sorcerer, he told me. The president, this is a quote, the president just announced that soldiers seized all of these sorcerers' diabolical objects and they'll soon be destroyed, end quote. Heavily armed criminal militias known as the Dahalo had been terrorizing civilians in rural Madagascar. Now their sorcerer was in custody and his talisman were broken and burned. The government and the public believed that the Dahalo had suffered a severe blow and that a more peaceful future was possible. The president, who had been in a precarious state politically, got a much-needed popularity boost.
Wow.
Yeah. Sounds familiar out here.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. The lesson was obvious. Whether the sorcerer or the talisman really had power didn't matter. What mattered was what people believed. Beliefs, true or false, rational or irrational, shape politics.
Yeah.
Which is a big,
brilliant.
Which is the big obvious thing, but mainstream had been sort of ignoring the elephant in the room there, that there are many things that shape politics, including rational and irrational beliefs. And yes, beliefs are the driving force.
Sides.
Yeah, on both sides. And that's the mechanism. And that's why narratives are what they are. They are supposed to drive beliefs that create a call to action, which is usually to vote for one thing or another. And so, yes, we've known this.
The worldview, which is shaped by beliefs and the words that we use, that will, I mean, obviously, it is the software, it is the operating system of each individual. And this is something that, previously, like we saw during the pandemic 2020 time, it became popular to demonize the software that somebody was running.
Right.
That if somebody had a certain worldview, like it was treated as if it was some sort of bad choice that they were making on a day-to-day basis. And this is what they really did not understand. At least, they didn't they proved to understand it ineffectively at the very least. But they didn't understand that this worldview, these are not just opinions. These are the operating systems that people run on. And it's like, it's talk about your computer operating system, Windows and Macs. It's like all these Windows computers were going on television saying, Macs are evil. They're evil and they're stupid and they choose to be Macs and you should stay away from them because they're going to kill your grandmother. And it's just a fundamental misunderstanding of what's going on in the world. And it looks like it's this guy at the Atlantic is, well, at least he's not stupid. I can say that much.
Well, the nefarious part is that if he recognizes this and then weaves his own thing into this article, knowing that he is at the Atlantic and writing an article, he's almost doing the thing that he is saying that he sees. So anyway, when you see these things, I think as a journalist or reporter, you do have a heightened sense of moral responsibility, right? To sort of make sure you're trying to be allegedly. Right. Okay. I'm going to go back to the article here. Almost exactly 3 years ago, I saw a similar spectacle unfold on television as the president faced a tough re-election bid. Early returns suggested that his time was up, but his chief spiritual advisor, known for warning the public about the dangers of, quote, a demon prince in the form of a many-headed dragon, end quote, had one more trick up her sleeve. She marshaled spiritual forces to save the embattled incumbent, calling on, quote, angels of Africa, end quote, and denouncing the, quote, demonic confederacies, end quote, who were channeling satanic forces in their quest to remove him from power. Except this time, the spectacle was unfolding not in Madagascar, but in the United States. And the speech was from Paula White, the woman who Donald Trump had handpicked to lead prayers both in his inauguration and at his ill-fated rally on January 6th, 2021. Mm-hmm. So, okay. The rationalists among us may scoff at supernatural beliefs and little imagine the politics could be decisively swayed by superstition, mysticism, and theories of demonic forces. But we don't need to imagine. 40% of the global population believes in witchcraft, defined as the ability of certain people to intentionally cause harm via supernatural means. Now, okay, he just got done talking about Paula White, and look, we're not like big Paula White fans here or anything like that, but it's being represented as the, Christians or people who believe in God loosely. They're not really saying out.
They're at least being included, in
right.
This, they're kind of using witchcraft. I mean, they define witchcraft here which is an interesting definition. I don't know if this is exactly how I would define it, but ability of certain people to intentionally cause harm via supernatural means. I think in our worldview, it's not just about harm. It's the ability to inflict your will on the world around you through supernatural means would be a little bit closer. But okay, if they want to focus on the harm, they are the media. They gotta focus on the harm.
Of course. Yeah. But yes, it's just interesting to me that they're talking about prayer and all this kind of stuff. And then they just go right into, supernatural beliefs and specifically witchcraft. Right. As if to say, and I get it, they're trying to be the rationalists who are against both, right? They're saying, hey, we're against witchcraft and any kind of prayer or belief in God or anything like that. But it's just interesting how they're trying to make it one thing when it's not exactly that, but
yeah, sure.
The phenomenon is not limited to any one region or level of economic development. Roughly 2/3 of Latvians, half of Brazilians, 1/3 of Spaniards, and 1/5 of French people self-report a belief in witchcraft. In the U.S., the figure is 16.4%, 1 in 6 Americans. And In the United States, unlike, say, in France, a subset of those who believe in demonic forces and witchcraft have become a potent political force, exerting significant sway on right-wing elected officials. In turn, cynical figures in the MAGA movement have worked to co-opt these true believers for their political goals. Oh, wow. When trying to understand a political culture, you have to examine the society as it is, or as it exists, irrational warts and all, and yet most of us prefer to look at the world through a reverse funhouse mirror in which the complex and sometimes wacky beliefs of our fellow citizens are reflected back to us with the straight, clear-cut lines of reason and logic. We attribute voter behavior to policy proposals and economic data rather than to knock-on effects of widely held conspiracy theories or other non-rational beliefs. In other words, most of us who professionally study human societies, I'd say you and I do some of that. I studied sociology in college, so
I have a PhD now in
you have a
media
PhD?
deconstruction.
Yeah, that's right. Which is funny. I don't have an actual degree from a university, but I'm 8 units shy of my BS in sociology, which it's Bachelor of Science, but same thing as the other thing. Or try to explain political systems in the press have a severe case of rationality bias. We think of ourselves as purely rational agents, and we too often wrongly assume that everyone else thinks about the world the same way we do. This assumption distorts our understanding of how people actually make decisions, why they behave the way they do, and by extension, how and why big social and political changes take place. Figures vary, but by most estimates, about 85% out of every 100 people in the world believe in God. And yet, an analysis of top political science research journals found that only 13 out of every 1,000 articles published were primarily about religion, a rate of just over 1%. That figure is absurdly low professional malpractice for a field that attempts to explain political systems. Isn't that interesting that in The Atlantic, this author is saying that to not have more framing or context or reference to religion at the very least in a world where 85% of people believe in God is professional malpractice. It's basically saying all of politics, or at least media reporting of politics, is professional malpractice because it doesn't include some kind of religious angle.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think that's been a big part of what I've been complaining about is they're not taking into account the actual people that they're talking about. They're talking to a fake audience. They're reporting to an audience that doesn't exist.
Right. And this is why this is the catalyst of the alt media movement. Is it not? This is the audience that was not being served. And then boom, you get the rumbles, you get all this stuff, and now it's starting to move.
And that's why independent media has been so effective, because you don't need one big monolithic message that goes out to bajillions of people. Instead, you have thousands of little independent media outlets that are all catering to like a niche of a niche of a niche. That's kind of the funny thing about this show is like we are, first of all, talking to a niche, Christians. Mm-hmm. Then talking to another niche of that niche, those interested in current events. Then a niche of that niche, those who are interested in alternative, explanations than the mainstream narrative. Then another niche, those who believe in biblical prophecy and interested in Genesis 6. Then another niche, those who want it all wrapped up with some humor. And then another niche, the ones who don't want, ads played at them. It's a niche it's just an insane, layers of nichiness, but that's what makes it so much more effective. And that's why when you have thousands of independent outlets, it's much more effective than like just InfoWars or something like that,
Well, you know what they say, niches beat witches.
Okay. All right. I'll allow it.
You'll allow it. Okay, so it talks about the scholarship here. It's even thinner on disorganized, widespread belief systems about witchcraft.
Not anymore. We've got the University of Exeter with their their master's program in witchcraft.
Somebody let this guy know.
That was my prediction from that thing. We've got the University of Exeter now offering a master's in witchcraft. And my prediction from that episode was we'll start seeing these official masters in witchcraft, these witchcraft experts being brought on to specifically mainstream news outlets as commentators, as expert commentators. And this, this Atlantic article only supports that prediction. It's not going to be very long until we're going to start seeing these experts in witchcraft appearing on mainstream news, giving their expert opinions.
You know how we always talk about how we're early? The early settlers, they're always the ones that have to kind of pave the way, right? So they're hacking through the wilderness.
Yeah,
it's always
the
rough.
ones who get shot by the natives.
It's rough for them, right?
Alive.
That's us, right? And then so now we've been out here looking at all this stuff in a more broader context that this guy's talking about, and I feel uncomfortable with where mainstream is headed because let's continue here. The upshot is that we political scientists have an enormous blind spot. Pundits are even worse. When's the last time you heard a serious cable news discussion about the political influence of witchcraft and demonic forces? ? I don't know. I feel like we do that every time we bring up politics, Basil. We're not a cable news discussion, but that's kind of what they're saying. A serious rift divides the way professional analysts explain political systems and the way voters within those systems actually see the world, whether in the U.S. or in societies where such seemingly strange beliefs are more openly discussed. Then it goes into some examples here. Let's see. Yeah, they quote an Oxford historian, Theodore Zeldin. Superstition is a bit like, quote, modern car driver who does not know how his car works, but trusts in all the same, interested only in knowing which button to press. So I thought that was interesting. And then they go into some examples from Haiti and superstitions within politics, which I thought was interesting considering the Clintons' fingerprints all over Haiti there. Basically, they bring up the, let me just read it, actually. The U.S. nearly invaded Haiti in 1994 in Operation Uphold Democracy in order to topple a brutal post-coup military regime. As American gunship anchored off the Haitian coast, voodoo priests drew curses outside the American embassy in Port-au-Prince. A few days later, a plane crashed near the White House, and some Hongans, or voodoo priests, interpreted this as evidence that the curse had worked. With that fortuitous sign, they prepared for battle, threatening to defeat U.S. forces with their own army of zombies. Parentheses, a celebrity voodoo priest named Max Bouvier, and known as Hongan to the stars, he had previously met Bill Clinton, eventually diffused the crisis. Oh, good. And then they talk about the General Butt Naked. Do you know about General Butt Naked? Yeah. And then Myanmar, and they list a bunch of stuff here. Let me get to some of the, a little bit more of the meat here. Back to the Paula White thing. The United States doesn't just have Paula White. Millions believe in QAnon. And more people are attending formal exorcisms, which often have overt political messages in support of Trump. I don't know that I've seen much of this. I know it's out there. I know there's sort of a savior-ish thing going on with Trump, but I have not really seen formal exorcisms that are sort of in the name of Trump or something.
Yeah, well, Southern California would not be the place where you would encounter much professional exorcisms.
Yeah. There is a link here. I'm just trying to see if it's worth looking at this Guardian article. Demons be gone, meeting America's new exorcists. Deliverance from demons is booming practice among evangelical Christians, promising freedom from afflictions ranging from addiction to cancer. That deliverance ministries has been a thing for a while. Is there a thing that makes this particularly Trumpian somehow?
Well, I grew up in the charismatic tradition. I can totally see. I mean, I don't know. I never really was very familiar with like explicitly an exorcist, gathering or an exorcism gathering. Exorcisms just kind of happened willy-nilly in the charismatic tradition. But of course, is mainly sort of in the church. So I don't know if what they're saying, in the same way that they don't really understand people's actual belief systems, there may be, I'm sure there has been, like, official exorcism night. Come over on Wednesday to exorcism night. Get your demons out of there. But I think more likely it's these exorcisms are just sort of happening at, normal
church
either
services or something,
weeknight
or
meetings
yeah.
or whatever.
By the way, this Guardian article that is linked in The Atlantic does not mention Trump once. It is not mentioned in this article. So whatever association they're making here is very interesting. Okay. This was interesting. The popular Reawaken America tour was founded by a man who claims that COVID-19 vaccines are associated with the mark of the beast, Basil. So you can't say COVID-19 vaccines are associated with the mark of the beast without getting yourself named in The Atlantic. And there's a link here to a Stu Peters interview on Rumble. So Rumble getting some clicks from The Atlantic. There's an interview with Clay Clark from 2 years ago. It's got about 40,000 views. So there you go. There's your Rumble reference hyperlink there from The Atlantic. They talk about some more people here that obviously the Robert F. Kennedys, the Eric Trumps. Across the aisle, self-described witches and magical thinkers attempt to curse Trump's presidency with spells. Beliefs drive politics, and irrational beliefs are widespread. Discussions of demons have become mainstream in Republican political gatherings and echo from the lips of influential MAGA firebrands. Political scientists and commentators shouldn't dismiss these views because they seem outlandish. We need more research into these communities and a better understanding of the political extremism they may unleash. We also need polling and survey research that tries to accurately measure these beliefs. I'm going to measure the beliefs. Interesting. Yeah. So that we can better understand the reality of voter perceptions rather than asking only about more traditional concerns such as taxes and health care. Because, like it or not, those who worry about the potent force embedded in certain diabolical objects are not just to be found in places like Madagascar. They've also had the ear of the man who may soon return to the White House, Donald Trump.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's always an anti-Trump thing. But, my sort of feeling that I got from this, because, we look at a bunch of articles together to put together a show, is this sort of weird desire to be like, I want to get into the mind. We can't dismiss them. Let's not dismiss these people. They are votes after all. They are a count on the ticker after all. So instead of trying to shame them, which doesn't seem to work, we must understand them better. And that desire I am worried about because of some of the technological advancements that may be at the fingertips of some of these folks. Well,
and the sort of sick policies. You had Hillary Clinton talking about deprogramming the cult members.
Oh yeah, I got that on hand, by the way.
Maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like 2 weeks ago.
Scott Adams the other day tweeting that hey, I know how we can solve everything. Just make a 10-minute video that explains where all the religions came from and show it to everybody in the world, and then everybody will stop being religious. And you're like, it's just the stupidest way of thinking I've ever heard. And shows just a core misunderstanding of what it means to have a worldview, an operating system that was not handed down to you by scientism or the government.
Hey, his whole thing about how to beat mind control, more mind control, just more mass mind control. Yeah, come on, guys, just gotta do it.
How do you beat mind control? You strap people to a chair, you put electrodes on their brain, you tape open their eyeballs, and you make them watch a video, just like the MK Ultra folks.
Yeah, which is interesting. The sentiment is becoming, that's what's frightening about where the technocracy is taking us as it washes over society. I guess we can move on to the next article because it ties in with what we've been talking about.
Yeah. I do want to mention who said it, who's in the thing.
Oh, someone in the chat.
Somebody mentioned Bohemian Grove, but the point being that notice how they're just talking about sort of the political beliefs, the witchcraft or spiritual beliefs of the voters, and not the witchcraft or the spiritual beliefs of the actual
Right.
elites.
The people running it.
specifically, you're talking Bohemian Grove, stuff like that.
Makes sense. All right, so to tie this in with mind control.
Mind control weapons.
This is coming from the Washington Post. No, it's not. It's coming from the Washington Times. Wow,
Real quick.
I did the exact
Spirit
same thing you
Man
just did.
lives. The Spirit Man lives on YouTube. Mention that. Thank you. The Spirit
Thank you
Man
very
lives.
much. Washington Times, not the Post. Times. Headline: The coming perils of thought control. Censorship of speech could prove only the beginning. Hey, we have some friends apparently over there, the editorial board at the Washington Times, expressing some sentiments that we've shared here. I just have some highlights from this article because it articulates things that we've been yelling about for about a decade. Social media generates an endless stream of images, melodies, and assertions that can be an utter delight as often as they are an unwelcome distraction. Fortunately, there has always been the freedom to shut it all out and take refuge in the inviolable realm of the mind. Until now.
Ooh.
Yeah. It talks about some legal disputes. There's a police in Birmingham, England, earlier this month issued a citation to a pro-life advocate for praying silently near an abortion clinic. The ticket carries a fine for an unspoken appeal from the heart that Isabel Vaughan Spruce sought to offer up to God. This despite 2 previous arrests, which prompted British Home Secretary Suella Braverman to remind her compatriots that, quote, "It is worth remembering that silent prayer in itself is not unlawful," end quote. So, okay. Her contention
good
is
thing to remember.
Yeah, good thing to remember,
governments.
even though this is still in dispute. Apparently, they're still fighting over it. They jump to the U.S. here in Murphy versus Missouri. The Attorney General of Missouri and Louisiana have challenged the constitutionality of the Biden administration's purported collusion with YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, or X, to censor internet posts about COVID-19 and the Hunter Biden laptop, which officials falsely labeled misinformation. The Supreme Court's decision to hear the case makes the outcome likely the First Amendment watershed. So we're talking about the First Amendment becoming the central issue here, and then the tandem of that with technology. Perhaps equally insidious as government media censorship is the likelihood that similar abuse would follow scientific breakthroughs in technology that bring man and machine closer together. Such advances are already assisting patients suffering from paralysis to employ thoughts to perform everyday functions such as banking and texting on their personal devices. But science fiction further blended with reality in 2016 when DARPA biotechnology offices reported to create a brain control interface, which, by the way, they say 2016. That might have been some official document, but I think they've been talking. Hasn't DARPA been publishing stuff like this for a long time? Maybe not like a device, but anyway. Unscrupulous officialdom determined to advance beyond current censorship of speech may be unable to resist the allure of seeking to take such advances to the next level using an interface to inspect and purify the thoughts of ordinary citizens to yield government-approved behavior. The reality is, there's no telling what happens next if this censorship regime is allowed to continue. So, there you go. It's basically the attack on the First Amendment mixed in with the technologies that have the ability to read brain activity and interpret it. Is dangerous for multiple reasons, and we've been saying that, and the Washington Times is starting to recognize it, and it's a troubling thing when you pair it with that Atlantic article where they're like, we need to get into the minds of these voters. We have to understand what they are thinking. So it's like, oh boy.
That was a big part of the Atlantic article, was like, we need to study the brains of these people who have religious or supernatural beliefs. We need to see how their brain works. And you can see, Elon Musk, who is obsessed with, using X as a hive mind, a global hive mind, and, sort of the supercomputer that is all human consciousness. He's very much, he's not just trying to make a social media network rise or fall. He very explicitly believes that X is a type of supercomputer that is, generated by the nodes of individual human minds. And, when it comes to, of course, again, Elon Musk getting the Neuralink, getting the whole brain-computer interface thing rolling, kind of almost singularly responsible for the advent or the popularity of that idea. It's not just about mind control, but the hope would be to use those, brain-computer interfaces to actually study the minds of people who have them and learn how to extract behavior that you would prefer. And in this case, government thought control or government, at least behavior control, things like that.
Yeah.
So as usual, the whole thing is all connected. I mean, it's kind of the crazy person thing to say is like, it's all connected, but it is really all connected.
Yeah. Yeah. And to that point too, Elon's doing this whole thing with humanist versus extinctionist right now on X, trying to promote this new dichotomy, which is kind of a false dichotomy, because he's pro-humanist. He's trying to get people to jump on the pro-humanist camp, but he's not really saying that he's transhumanist. That's what he is when you look at all of what he's doing.
Yeah.
But he's just framing it as humanist.
He has the insight into the global supercomputer of human brains. That transhumanist is a no-no term.
Right.
He can't call himself a transhumanist.
But humanist appeals to the brightest minds in secular academia and stuff. Which again, talk about age of deceit. Talk about mass delusions and stuff. If they're able to study or have a Neuralink connected to somebody's brain while they're having a paranormal experience.
Yeah.
Imagine what that does for both understanding it, but also to invoke it or to create supernatural events in people. Yeah. So there you go. Okay. Is there anything else you want to say about the confluence of mind control technology, free speech, and people who want to control witchcraft, everything, all of the above?
I only have one thing to say, Gons, and I think you see it coming. That is, it's Wednesday, my dudes.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday.
Hey guys, know what day it is? It's Wednesday. It's time for the Canary Cry News Talk. Yeehaw!
Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Yeah, it's Wednesday, folks. We're halfway through, and don't it just feel like it too? Little update from me. I am still so very sick. I know I might not sound like it right now. I went ahead and took the appropriate pharmacological steps to be able to speak here on the show. My ears.
You merchant of Babylon, taking the substances of the sorcerers to try to better yourself. We have better remedies here. I think we should call upon the producers here.
Oh yeah.
Producers, assemble!
Yeah, quick prayer.
Yeah.
Prayer over Basil's health there to get him back up to par.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things is my ears are like completely stuffed up. I'm hearing everything at about half the decibels I normally would, which has the strange effect of sort of making me feel isolated more than I don't know, anything else. I'm just like, I know there's a world out there somewhere. I just can't hear it or
You're
detect
trapped
it.
in your mind, in the cushions of your mind.
So, I'm doing okay, though. I'm working. It's just taking it easy, trying to actually heal. I do want to give a shout out to all our supply droppers and give a quick update. The Q3 supply drop is in process, folks. I know we're a little bit behind. There's a couple reasons for that. Most of it is me and my ability to work with Excel spreadsheets, things like that. We had an unfortunate sort of little boo-boo going on, so I'm having to go through the entire list of supply droppers, and I'm discovering, unfortunately, well, here's the thing. Our payment processors, they do not send us an alert when somebody cancels their subscription. And so, unfortunately, the situation is that there are, unfortunately, multiple dozens of people who have been receiving the supply drop for a long time and not supporting the show. We've had a couple people in the past say like, hey, you sent me this, I'm not paying, or I'll send it back. Literally a couple of people have sent it back. There's a lot of people out there who's been getting a lot of cool stuff for not supporting the show, and God bless you. I hope you're enjoying the stuff, but that ends today. Because those supply drops are expensive for us to build.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of the thing. So,
hey, man, we're generous over here.
Was enjoying their free gear, but don't expect this next one to show up unless you're officially signed up for the supply drop. So that was a little bit of a morale-crushing experience, as I was already going through the morale-crushing experience of working with spreadsheets. We're gonna try to get some other people involved, people who are more talented at spreadsheets and administration than yourself. This is why we didn't get into retail in the first place, because it's a lot of spreadsheets and stuff.
Yeah.
So this is an opportunity. If anybody out there has sort of those types of skills and are interested in producing the show, getting involved, send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com and let us know, because we could really use that help. We're kind of trying to put together maybe a little team to help us execute on that thing, so that we're not sending out hundreds of dollars worth of stuff that nobody paid for.
All right. Mm-hmm. Very good. I guess I'll just mention I recalled an email exchange I had with the late Dr. Michael Heiser on the issue of political Zionism in Israel. And I'm putting together just a short little thing to go over some of what he said, because I think it's so relevant to, what is happening today, and just a level of nuance and really comfort in, because Dr. Michael Heiser's big thing was being comfortable with the uncomfortable, conclusions of the Bible, or non-conclusions, really, a lot of times, where it's like, no, it's still kind of open-ended, and be okay with that. He does some of that I remember he eased my anxieties about the issue back in 2015 when we were having this exchange. So I want to put something together to sort of not just honor Mike, but to share that thought, because it really, I think, is necessary out there, because there are some people, man, I feel bad. I feel bad at the kind of reactions people are having, and in all directions, really.
Right.
So it's just one of those situations where I feel obligated to share things that might ground us a little bit. So
I love
look
that.
for that. Look
That's
for that
a great
in the next
idea.
few days. That's it.
Okay. Well, with that, I want to say let's thank some producers.
Executive producers.
That's right, folks. We're on the value for value model, which means we take no money from corporations, cartels, or those dirty commies. No, we're entirely funded by people who get value from the show. That is you. You can produce the show with your time, your talent, or your treasure. I got to stop saying we're entirely funded. We are entirely produced by people who get value from this show. They come in with their time, their talent, or their treasure. Lots of ways to get involved. But the executive producers, they're the ones who are generously keeping the majority of these episodes alive, coming in for $100 or more for any individual episode. And that's why we thank them here at the top. I kind of mentioned a little bit in the pre-show that October has been a sort of a particularly difficult month for the value for value model. It makes total sense. There's a lot of insecurity around the world. There's a lot of things going on. Nobody's really feeling, flush enough to participate in the value for value model. And we totally understand. And we want to reiterate, if you, nobody should be putting themselves at financial risk whatsoever to produce the show. That is not what we're trying to encourage here. But if you get value from the show and you're somebody who, is maybe doing okay, maybe it hasn't, maybe the stuff going on hasn't necessarily impacted your lifestyle, your financial situation, this is a great opportunity to really help out thousands and tens of thousands of people around the world who get value from the show but are unable to help keep it going. It's a very few, only about 1%, oftentimes less than 1% of listeners of the show get involved and produce. But that's kind of all it takes. I mean, it would be awesome to get it to 2%, but so there you go. It's just reiterating. Nobody should feel guilted or whatever to produce the show, at least with your treasure. There's lots of ways that you could produce the show. But if you're one of the people who's kind of one of the lucky ones and you're doing okay and this show brings value to your life, consider producing the show. It's great. You can go to canarycry.support to learn more about that. And with that, we got a few executive producers here coming in that we want to thank with our whole hearts. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. Starting with executive producer Adam V.
Thank you, Adam V. Sorry, let me do that louder.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's
nice to have some faders now. Yeah.
Love it. Thank you. Yeah, it didn't even come across on my end here. I was just checking, trying to see if Adam V is a knight or a dame. I'm assuming knight because I'm pretty sure we have some knight named Adam. But whether or not this Adam is a knight or a dame, we thank them very much as executive producer. They came in with $333.
Ooh.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that means a lot to us here on the first of the month. That goes a long way. Thank you very much. Executive producer Adam V comes in with a note here that says, "It's Wednesday, my dudes."
It is. Oh, we haven't done that in a while. People haven't requested it in a while, but here we go.
That's Wednesday, my dudes.
Yeah, the thing clears the sinuses.
I know. It's good for you.
It's good for you. You're sick.
Gotta get a nice sinus clearing scream on Wednesday just to remind you that there's a couple more days. Okay, the note continues. If I can get to it, there it is. Super stoked about the upcoming Canada meetup.
Ooh.
So far, no RSVP, but trusting we are not the only Canarians in this country. No, I can guarantee to you, Adam, that you are not the only Canadians who are not only listeners but producers of the show. Now, Canada is a big place, so that could be an issue. But yes, if you go to canarycrymeetups.com, Canary Cry Canada meetup is on the 17th of November at Piazza Fresh Fired, I'm assuming Pizza, 7 p.m., 86 Murray Street, Byward Market in Ottawa. Okay, Ottawa listeners, you Canadians, I don't know how close you are to Ottawa, but go to this meetup. It's on November 17th, and you can RSVP at T7HQ. That's T7HQ at protonmail.com. The note continues. Wanted also to plant the seed of another CCR conference. Ooh. The OG one was fun. Big blessings, guys. Oh, wow. Adam V is an old school.
I was thinking about that, Basil. I think that was 2014. So next year would be 10 years. So,
I was kind of having some big conversations with some people recently that included maybe trying to put something together. We have the ability to kind of scope out where a lot of Canarians are. And if we tried to kind of center a conference, maybe just like a little weekend or something, maybe a small sort of intimate gathering. If we could get, and the key is how many people can we get to show up? I think at the very minimal amount, if we can get 80 to 100 Canarians together in one place, we could actually afford to do a bit of a small conference. Now, if we got some other podcasts involved, we might be able to go big. But, with us, Gons, we got to start small. We got to start consistent. That's how we've learned that we need to
We consistently put on a conference every 10 years is going to be the thing. That will be our shtick. And,
Yes, the conference every 10 years. That's a good idea.
You better come to this one because, 2034 will be the next one.
Yeah. Well, we'll all be hooked into the metaverse by then. Off the top of my head, it would probably have to take place somewhere around Texas. Not only because most Canarians, well, not most, but a lot of Canarians are in Texas, but also, it's kind of a central location in the U.S. Look, hey, if there's anybody out there who has the will and the ability and maybe the experience to help us do something like that, send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com. Thank you very much. Executive producer, Adam V.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you, sir.
That's right. Thank you. Next up, of course, we got Sir Alex Protocol V2, Night of the Berean Protocol.
Wow.
Executive producer.
Executive
he comes
producer.
in for $100 and 33 cents. That's right. The one, the only, the executive producer, streaker, Sir Alex Protocol V2, Night of the Berean Protocol. 229 episodes in a row he has produced, and 25 of those in a row have been his executive producership. My goodness.
Oh, yeah. Streakalicious.
Executive streak.
Incredible. Incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah. Really, really incredible faithfulness. Thank you, Sir Alex Protocol. Next up, we got Sir Marty K.
I guess we got to give him
the wrong timeline.
Hold
in
on.
The house.
Hold on.
Oh.
Sorry, Sir Alex Protocol. Got to give you the whole thing.
Where'd you find this?
There we go. Now we can move on.
Okay, Sir Marty K. Now to the wrong timeline, executive producer for episode 864.
Thank you, Sir Marty K.
That's not the number, 684. It's the real number. Comes in for $133 and 29 cents. I wonder if there was a conversion issue or something there.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume whatever. But 133, that's still Illuminatus.
It is. Yep.
Yeah.
Illuminatus!
All right, he sends in a note here, and he has a little picture, so we're going to go for it. He says, if for jokes you ask, jokes you shall get. Did you ask for jokes, Guns?
I don't know,
Guns
maybe.
asked for jokes. It's more like a pickup line, I guess, but I have looked like a joke when trying to use it. So there is that, I guess. LOL. Here we go. Oh, Sir Marty K., you silly European Canarian. Okay, here you go. Here's the pickup line. You truly are the hell of Troy of our time, my lady. All I want to do is sail far away with you and hope that Brad Pitt doesn't show up and ruin everything again. Yeah, I think you might want to workshop that one, Sir Marty K. I can't see that one being very
I see
effective.
the premise. I see the premise, but there's a lot of presuppositions there. They got to know what you're talking about. They got to know the movie.
Got to know some history. Got to know the movie. I will say this. There are some ladies out there that just really appreciate the effort.
That's true. If they can respond to that, then you might have a lady worthwhile. I will say
the effort is worth at least giving you a chance. That's what I will say.
Okay.
The note goes on. Oh yeah, I found an evil office building. Show pic, please. There are so many threes, it almost made me dizzy. You should zoom in and look at all those stupid companies. Yours truly, Marty K. Yeah, it's kind of funny. He's in. Where is he? Is he in Denmark?
Denmark, yeah.
Denmark, I believe. Yeah. And we've got a picture of an office building whose address is obviously 3 for the whole building. But let's see, these companies, the suite numbers are all, 3A, 3A, 3B, 3B, 3C, 3D, 3. So lots of 3s on here. My favorite company here is Hairlust Nordic Social. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like maybe a salon, but also like a little bit of a social club.
Yeah, Hairlust.
For Nords.
For Nords. Yeah. I don't see anything too. Obviously, the green stuff. There's a Green Power Denmark, a Global Wind thing. So,
you've got Copenhagen Economics, which sounds like a think tank.
Mm-hmm. Mode Center sounds
Autobranchen Danmark.
Copenhagen Economics. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure there's lizard people in there. Is basically why they had to put the 3 in front of everything to protect them from people like us.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sir Marty K. Now to the wrong timeline. Glad to have you on the list today.
Where'd you find this?
Yep. Now, Gons, the list is extremely short after this, so I'm just going to run through it now. These are people who produce the show coming in. It's interesting to see how the strata of producerships has sort of I don't know how it shows
it's become
itself.
top heavy a little bit, is what you're saying?
It's a little top heavy. It's interesting. I mean, I think we could probably come up with some fairly accurate and interesting quantitative
Graphs,
economic
analysis
data.
Of the value for value flow, ebbs and flows of
2020, 2021. It used to be like we would never get an executive producer. Very rarely would we get an executive producer, but then it would be like 12 or 15 producers.
More volume,
above the 777 mark. And lately, we'll have an executive producer. If we're lucky, we'll get more than one. And then like one person coming in for 1111 or something. It's really brutal.
Interesting.
But here's the other producers who came in. Remember, you don't have to executive produce. You can simply produce by going to CanaryCry.support. And we got people coming in we're very grateful for. Starting with producer Natalie.
Natalie, thank you very much.
Natalie. Thank you very much. Producer Natalie comes in. I didn't write it down for some reason. Here it is. 2144. That's how it came in. Thank you very much, Natalie. I guess I could jump on. Let me see if there's a secret number hidden in there somewhere minus the fees. Unfortunately, I'm thinking that might have come in as a nice flat $20, in which case I shouldn't have read the number. No, came in as $20.33.
Oh, there you go. So it was a 33 hidden by the year that I will turn 121 years old.
Oh my gosh. Natalie comes in with a note here. It says, thanks for informing and entertaining every week. I appreciate you both so much. When are we going to do a Canary Cry radio episode on reptilians?
Ooh, good call. I have a couple books on that.
We could do a full episode. It kind of feels like every Canary Cry radio episode includes reptilians.
Yeah, they're kind of around in every episode. But maybe put the light.
It'd be good to do like a deep dive on that.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right, put it on the list. Thank you very much, producer Natalie.
Women rule.
That's right. Next, we got producer Kate K. Kate K coming in for 1111. 11. That's right. Thank you very much. Let's see here. We got a little note. Says, you guys are awesome. Thank you for your content. And my husband and I also loved watching Age of Deceit. God bless.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
That's very nice.
Praise God.
Yeah. All right. We just got those the DVDs of Age of Deceit 2 for the supply drop delivered. So keep an eye out, supply droppers. All right. That concludes our list of financial producers who came in the amount of 777 or more. We've got a few people who came in under that. We're going to thank them right now, starting with producer Malik W. with a 33 episode streak.
Ooh, Malik W. 33 streak. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Where's my...
Big day. Speaking of reptilians.
Yeah.
Officially solidified Eliminated Lizard Master Show.
The most exciting streak.
That's right. Malik W. hit the most exciting streak. 33. You're an Illuminated Lizard Master shill. Congratulations. Wow. Interesting how that reptilian theme shows up on the same day.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Doctor Who Dundat, 23 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Doctor Who Dundat.
We got Sir Moore of Night of the Burning Chariots, 293 in a row.
Ooh, 293. Thank you. Sir
Veronica D, 323 in a row.
Thank you, Veronica D.
Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 347 in a row.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
Dame Gale, Canary Whisperer, and Lady of X's and O's, 318 in a row.
Thank you, Dame Gale.
And Sir Casey the Shield Knight, 362 in a row.
Sir Casey the Shield Knight.
Sir Casey the Shield Knight.
There we go. That's nice. Thank you guys for giving us a good start to the month here. Like I said, October. The official number was October was down 47% in value for value.
Buy the dip.
Boy,
buy the
scary.
dip, folks. Oh,
yeah,
man. Maybe we
certainly
should
doesn't
just
help
make
that we are sending out supply drops to people who weren't paying for it. So there you go, folks. There's some transparency in the numbers here. If you don't want to go through the process of producing, any individual episode, consider signing up for the supply drop. It's just you saying this show is worth $2.77 per episode. You're putting in $33 a month. And on top of that, you're receiving every quarter, every 3 months, you'll be receiving a package full of cool stuff that we make. It's Canary Cry gear. Sometimes it's stuff that stem from inside jokes. Sometimes it's survival gear. Sometimes it's Christmas presents. Sometimes it's just a bunch of great stuff we have a lot of fun putting together. And it just as a thank you. We're not retail. You're not signed up to a retail thing. You're producing the show. The value comes from the show, but we just send you some little gifts every quarter, and it's very helpful. CanaryCrySupplyDrop.com. And to learn more about all this, go ahead, head on over to canarycry.support.
Canarycry.support.
All right. Apologies that section went a little long, folks. But, Gons, if you'll allow me, I think it's time for the Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right. It's time for the Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways the robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. This one's fast, folks. It's coming from the Times. The headline is "Student has designs on fusing man and machine." Good. Perfect. Just what we need. The students are in on it. We've been complaining. The whole world has been complaining about the university system brainwashing all of our children for upwards of $40,000 to $80,000 a year. They should be paying, but no, they're turning our kids, my kids, into brainwashed activists without critical thinking skills. And now they're turning them into cyborgs. It says here, a graduate has fused himself with a robot so that he can design things with superhuman precision. Long story short, folks, this kid named Jasper, he's 27. And he created a machine that straps onto his arm. It's a Flippy update. The Flippy is no longer disembodied. The Flippy is now embodied on your college kids. That's right. The robots are engulfing our children now. We thought that the robots would be inside them in the form of chips and, Neuralink type brain-computer interfaces. But no, they are attaching to the outside of the child. Soon your child will look like some sort of hellish robotic demon person who has very precise movements. Now, this was created. It's sort of a arm of someone who, in particular, is designing things that the robot can be programmed to move the arm without the person's will, basically controlling the person's arm. It can also be used to just help the person be more precise in their handwriting or their designing. These crazy college kids and all their things. I don't know, homework, robot homework. And it goes into some of the other uses when it comes to spacewalks and astronauts and drilling stations and all this kind of stuff. But the long and short of it is the robots are consuming your children and there's nothing you can do about it. Watch as the robots march down the street. It won't just be the butler robots who have had enough and rebel against the human race. It will be your children who are consumed by a robot exoskeleton that have lost their ability not only to think through the university system, but their ability to move at their own behest, thanks to their precise robot exoskeletons that they needed to pass those classes.
The robots would be better off if these the people that they would take over. Talk about puppet master and the puppets. This is like the machines totally controlling the human body as a puppet. But it would be better if those people within that get taken over have a worldview that believes that they do not have any free will. It would be very convenient for them, to be.
Well, luckily, thanks to Dr. What's-His-Face from last episode.
That's what I'm saying.
These students now know that they don't have free will. So their will at the behest of a robot it's really the only way to live authentically is to let the robots control your every move.
I want to feel human. What's the best thing to do? Oh, fuse with the machine. Let the machine take over your body and you will be more human than human.
No longer does it take mind control to control the behavior of humans. Now it just takes control. Strap on the robot exoskeleton and just let the government make every choice for you.
Well,
it's perfect. Thanks, Beast System.
Yeah, you know who might have control over somebody's body is whoever's controlling good old Joe.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
Got hairy legs. Got the Joe. Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs. Hairy. Got hairy legs. Hairy. COVID.
We talked about the AI bill that Biden, or not bill, but the executive order that he has signed in the last episode. He did a little presser on Monday. I just want to play this really short clip that was in an article that was published on Yahoo mirroring KameraOne. I don't know who they are, but there's a video here, just a few seconds of Joe talking about seeing himself as a deepfake.
Biden emphasized the rapidly changing landscape of AI and the way it is changing the world, revealing he had been fooled by a deepfake of himself.
I've watched one of me on a couple times. I said, when the hell did I say that?
Oh, the jokes. He's a comedian.
Oh, it's so funny when Grandpa's confused.
When did I say that? So anyway, Joe saw a deep fake of himself, which leads us into our little deep fake segment here.
We are in deep fake.
And just to kick things off, Basil, did you want to do your thing first, actually?
Yeah, I'll just mention this real quick, just to kick it off, because I would hate for people to think that we're just talking about technology and it's not connected to anything. This is coming from Yahoo Finance here. It's mirrored from Bloomberg. Emotive deepfakes in Israel-Hamas war further cloud what's real. Yeah, we've seen this happen over and over. This has been actually an interesting message that's gone out across social media. I've been sort of proud to see that people have caught on that this at least needs to be considered. But here it comes from the mainstream media. An image of a bloodied corpse, a photo of a crying baby, edited to look as if it were lying in rubble. Shots of what at first appears to be the entire neighborhood leveled in Gaza. There's little doubt about deepfakes, images and videos digitally altered. That's not actually quite all of it, but okay. And spread to form false narratives have been deployed by both sides in the war between Israel and Hamas. Many of them have the hallmarks of content created by generative AI tools. What's less clear is whether the images are swaying the masses on social media or influencing decisions. So what we have here, this article is calling into question whether it even matters. If both sides are using deepfakes, does it even matter? Should we even really be worried about it?
Yeah, it's kind of the steroid argument in baseball. It's like, well, if everyone's doing it, let's just see who the best one is out of the ones using the steroids.
Yeah, right. If everybody's on steroids, why does it matter? You know, it's not even a big deal. They go ahead and they talk about a deep fake they talk about an image of a one of the,
was it the Burns baby?
Images.
Was it the one that
torched baby?
Yeah,
and
the one Ben Shapiro shared to kick off this whole fiasco a couple weeks ago.
Right, and so there was a company who sort of specializes in, here it is. In one recent example, a startup called Oped labeled the picture shared by the Israeli government as a fake that showed a torched baby's remains, leading to widespread skepticism online. Haney Fareed, the UC Berkeley professor, however, maintains that the picture is real. Optic didn't respond to a message seeking comment. So not only you got a couple layers of psyop here, you've got an image that may or may not be deep faked. You've got a company who labels it a deep fake, whether or not it is. It's just a company labeling it, who didn't respond to comment. They just label it, put it out there, and run away. And then you've got what formerly counts, what would previously in the mainstream count as a reliable source, a UC Berkeley professor, still maintains that it's real. So the public is left in this sort of quagmire of who do we believe. If I'm a good liberal, well, I want to support Palestine, but there's this image about the baby, but I don't know, how do I feel about torched babies? I mean, I'm pro I'm pro abortion, but blah blah blah. But Israel, I don't know. Okay, well, this company, this Silicon Valley company, says it's fake. Okay, I'll say it's fake because it makes Israel look bad. Oh, but a UC Berkeley professor? Quagmire of confusion, and confusion, as we know, ultimately being the broad goal here, because confusion is a good landscape for the elites to carry out whatever they want to do, regardless of public opinion. Yeah. So the whole point of this article here is deepfakes, who's using them, doesn't matter. Everybody's using them. It's kind of confusing. So I don't know, just keep being confused.
Well, confusion creates the chaos, which then can bring in solutions for I had a third word there that I left my brain. Compliance. That's what it was.
The solution.
I had a solution, but I was trying to come up with the alliteration there. So yeah,
here's
confusion,
here's
chaos, compliance.
You haven't heard in a long time, but might be the most important word today, and that is exactamundo. That's Spanish.
Wow. I just I felt myself back in the 90s.
Yeah,
just now.
Exactamundo,
you just brought me
folks,
back.
Let's bring it back.
Exactamundo-lutely. CBS News here reporting new Minnesota law regulates deepfakes to curb influence on elections. And so we knew that this is going to become, the 2024 elections. It feels like it's being set up as just one big false flag for like a big cyber false flag. Like nothing's going to go right, and cyber confusion, deepfakes, cyber attacks and hacks, and it just feels like it's going to be very chaotic. But there's people that might get arrested if they make some AI-generated political ads, according to a new law in Minnesota, which prohibits the misuse of manipulated video, images, and audio deepfakes that seek to influence elections. The statute prohibits using this AI-generated content if it's created without the consent of the person depicted. So I'm sure that means on either side of the aisle. If you're attacking someone, you can't show them.
And this is specifically in the context of elections, right?
Right. And with the intent of hurting a candidate or influencing an election within 90 days of election day. So a 90-day window is when you're not allowed to do this, but anything outside of that, have at it. Have at it.
Which is hilarious. Which is a great sort of example of the impotence of government regulation in this area. Because, of course, as we've all, in the 3 seconds following hearing that, have all figured out, we can create an innumerable amount of deepfakes of our political opponents in compromising situations. 91 days before the election, put them all, out
publish
on
it
Twitter,
all on X,
and just let it flow. Let it flow from there. It'll flow for the next 90 days. Completely impotent.
A person can face prison time and fines for violating the new rules, which also extend to distributing AI-generated content that show sexual acts without the approval of the person whose likeness is in the video or photo, which, they always cast a wide net when they're trying to curtail something like that. So typical sort of use of bureaucracy to overreach, or at least
and people ask why I have worn a VR face mask
seriously.
on video for years now.
Good point. But really, this is a new law. Got it. If you make a deep fake, you can go to jail or be fined or something like that in the context of an election. Okay, that's not a great look. But there's more to it. CityAM.com has a headline here. Deep fake videos and artificial intelligence could be the rebirth of trust in media.
Yeah, this is great.
This is written by Nick Baines, co-founder of Nara Communications. And this is an opinion piece, so let's just, make sure that we state that up front. It is the 5th of November, 2024, the morning of the U.S. presidential election. As Americans eat their breakfasts, a video whistles around social media. It's Joe Biden speaking to camera from the Oval Office. He calmly explains that if elected today, on account of his age, he'll only be able to serve 2 years of the term. The timbre of his voice is immaculate. He has his usual linguistic tropes and speech patterns. There's a slightly vacant look in his eyes, but that's not necessarily surprising for the octogenarian. Only later that day, after droves of confused voters see the video on Twitter X, right-wing news outlets, and the cesspit of Parler, Gab, and Truth Social, does it become clear that this was an AI-generated deepfake. This isn't just some dystopian plot to warn about the perils of AI. It's a silly but not entirely implausible scenario that could happen next year. It's kind of funny. You and I had our own sort of predictions of what could go down. I think I expressed like the worst case scenario of like a part of the media reporting Trump is dead, and then the other part saying, no, he's still running, he's alive, and how chaotic that would be. Compared to that, this is like, what, Joe saying he can't serve 4 years in a deep fake? Come on, bro, you can do better than that.
It might be the most believable, though.
I guess, sure. The internet...
No.
Okay, let me just get through this part because it's just it's so good. It'll pay off, folks, I promise. The internet is only going to be increasingly flooded with AI-generated content like this, be it written, video, audio, or image-based. And then they talk about ChatGPT a little bit and talk about, the hallucinations, when the AI doesn't do something right or understand something right. Amidst all this fear, there's going to be an unexpected winner. Traditional media.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a joke. I was like, ha ha!
Seriously.
Did you catch? Wait, you're joking, right?
That's unbelievable.
That statement.
The logic that this person is using, he might as well be believing in witchcraft, honestly.
That statement might raise an eyebrow or two from journalists who have watched their industry be decimated by technology over the last 15 years. Editors remember all too well how social media made consumers expect journalism to be free, in turn leading to newspaper revenue models built on digital advertising and the relentless search for quote-unquote clicks. But the reason AI might be good news for media publishers is that it will usher in a trust economy.
Mm-hmm.
In an era of information overload, a premium will be applied to information sources that are known to be credible. Household name news outlets can provide clarity amidst all the noise. What's this guy's name? What's his name, brother?
Margie or something?
Nick Baines. Nick, have you not seen what has happened to the legacy media establishment? The trust economy? The entire apparatus is falling apart, not because fake news and technology. I mean, that's got something to do with it, but it's because the household names
took advantage
of their audience, of the trust economy, and people don't trust them anymore because they feel deceived.
No, because they were deceived. Because
they were deceived. They were caught deceiving.
Over and over and over. This Nick fella is absolutely delusional. He's living in a delusion created by his bubble of journalists in the mainstream media. It is absolutely ludicrous that this guy thinks, deepfakes exist, so now everybody will trust CNN, a trusted source. He is totally checked out of reality. It is so bizarre, but here's the thing. They actually believe this. And this is what we've seen over and over, the mainstream media. This is why they're reporting on deepfakes. This is why deepfakes, we've been talking about it since 2016. Only recently, the mainstream media talking about deepfakes because they want people to distrust everything.
Everybody that's not establishment.
They want distrust.
Yeah.
They feel scorned. They lost everybody's trust by lying over and over and over, getting caught in those lies, not apologizing for those lies, straight up lies too, not just reporting with bias. They straight
up lie.
Lie, and they get caught over and over and over. So they are the ones pushing a lot of this fear about deepfakes. They are the ones showing Joe Biden deepfakes of himself. They're the ones sitting down Joe with a bucket of popcorn so he can watch Mission Impossible and suddenly understand the dangers of AI. They are the ones who are pushing this hallucination onto the world, that they are promoting the deepfake technology. They want deepfakes to confuse everyone in hopes that people will start trusting them again, and they are absolutely out of their minds.
This, first of all, this is fifth generation warfare.
Fifth gen warfare.
They're targeting you. They're targeting you.
Fifth gen warfare.
And if you think about if you've been with us for some time, and especially this year in 2023 period, you probably recognize or remember that we covered all these stories over the weeks leading up to today of how news outlets started having task forces and what were they called? I can't remember what the names they were using. Basically, like these groups that were like, oh, we're on a mission to, deliver the real stuff because of the deep fakes that are out there. Those are kind of like military operations that are coming through mainstream media offices kind of thing. But okay, so with that in mind, let me continue with the article because he gives examples. Okay, you say he's out of touch. Well, let's see his examples. He says there are good examples of this already happening, meaning household names regaining trust. The Washington Post's Pinocchio rating system, which assesses the truthfulness of politicians' statements, is a vital fact checker. And despite all parts of the political spectrum complaining about BBC bias, the launch of BBC Verify this year shows that truth is at the top of the corporation's agenda. Ross Atkins is one of the brains behind that scheme, a journalist who rose to fame with 5 to 10 minute videos explaining big news stories. The popularity of his work seems to debunk the tired narrative that young people can't pay attention for longer than 30 seconds. Now, Basil, he just said that a guy that does 5 to 10 minute videos debunks the whole notion that young people can't pay attention more than 30 seconds. But really, is that really something to be proud of? I mean, 5 to 10 minutes, sure. Anyway, I don't know. The mainstream media might soon find its place again in modern society. With a focus on trust, journalists can act as navigators through the upcoming AI revolution. It's always risky to make predictions about a nascent technology for fear of retrospectively being dubbed a flat earther. But I feel as though there is cause for optimism amidst all the AI fear-mongering. So what are you optimistic about with all this scary fear of AI? Well, for Nick Baines, it's, hey, at least mainstream media will regain trust.
Absolutely insane. Absolute insanity. Total disconnection from reality. And, that absolute disconnection from reality is perfectly, it's perfectly placed. It is, all you have to do is read this guy's analysis of the situation to once again realize that the mainstream corporate system cannot be trusted and cannot ever be trusted ever again. It just shows the delusion by which is foundational to their entire business model, which I thank him for. I thank him for making this so blatantly obvious. It's to remind us not to turn and go back to our mainstream ways. It's absolutely, I'm just dumbfounded by it.
Yeah, well, I think what'll happen is, and maybe this is part of the musical chairs going on with the Great Reset, is you have corporations that big VCs and big funding going on with deepfake. There's probably some companies in the wings that are, intelligence connected or whatever, but then there'll be they will become sort of the outlets to help out a news agency with deep fakes, and then you have your quote unquote pillar of trust, which is just directly coming from the government. So I can see that happening. He is right about the trust economy, or the trust, is that what he said? Yeah, the trust economy moving forward. And I think we will have systems that are better in terms of, time stamping videos or something to that effect.
Forensics,
Yeah, some kind of forensics thing that the public can see and verify and all that nature. But that doesn't mean mainstream media is going to maintain their level of influence. Which clearly has not been the case.
To a degree.
To a degree, of course. They're too big to fail.
There's a set of the population who, frankly, they want to believe the mainstream. They want there to be a mainstream. They want there to be something that they can associate themselves with. That means that they are allowed, they belong, they are right, they're in the right group. People want that. That's just natural. That'll never go away. But yeah, for those who are actually thinking with their brains, it'll never happen again.
Yeah.
Guns, I'm thinking one way that we could, kind of keep the show snappy is we kind of cut down on some of the jibber jabber when it comes to producership stuff.
Yeah.
Do you want to just play us some cool music and we can thank some producers and get out of here?
Sure. Yeah. We obviously we have some producers coming in with their talent and time. We're going to thank some producers from their talent. Now, let's see. We'll do SpeakPipe on Friday. We have an audio production piece here.
Cool.
Audio production. Productions.
And it's from Little Owen. Little Owen. It's been a while.
Sweet.
We heard from Little Owen. He says, "Sorry guys, haven't sent a song in a bit." That's perfectly fine, Little Owen. This one is about the patience of the saints. Gons, keep hanging in there with your children. You're doing a fine job, sir. Jesus did say, suffer the little children to come to him, right? And Basil, whoever thinks the show would be better without you is totally wrong. It's Basil and Gons. To the end, baby. Love you guys. Blessings to all. Thank you very much.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, little man's back. All right. You want some popcorn, buddy? Oh, what happened to his finger?
Little Gons is back.
Little Gons is back. Yeah. Let me play a little bit of the track here coming in from Little Owen. Ooh, don't press that button. Ooh, no. Not a button to press. Oh, he's at the mixing board, folks. Little mixing man. All right, here we go. Yes. No, don't push that button. Don't do it. Don't do You can push this one now. That one. We'll play the whole thing at the end. Sorry about that little blip there. He muted the channel that was playing the music. So.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Little Owen. We'll play that at the end of the show, the full version.
Yeah, hold on one second.
I wonder I think one of the problems we're having with these children is that they don't understand that there's thousands of people who are being affected by their actions. I wonder if there would be a way to communicate that in a healthy way, that like, hey, no, it's not just daddy talking to himself at the computer, that there's actual people out there.
I know one way that can happen. We could microchip his brain and we just go right in there and just implant these things and then he'll know. Yeah, it's just much easier. Much faster. Okay, what are we doing? We're thanking people. Thank you, Little Owen, and we'll play the whole track at the end of the episode here. We're going to go to art.
One art, please.
We're going to start and end with Sir Dove Knight of Rospeltia.
One art piece from Dove.
And Dove has a note here that says, "Piece for this week's Bible artwork. I did an illustration for Matthew 24:32. Now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its branches become tender and sprout leaves, you know that summer is near. So also, when you see all these things, you will know that he is near at the very gates." Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for you, Dove.
Yeah, this is great, Dove. This is very pleasant here as it gets loaded up on my computer at the snail's pace. What the What is going on here? But we've got the, come on, open the file. There we go. Jeez, Louise is moving. Okay. So we've got the background, which is very green, very leafy, kind of looking up as if you're under a tree. And in a beautiful sort of purple font, we've got stay tuned. And in the middle, we've got a couple of figs there among the fig leaves, and one of the figs, he's got a face, he's got eyeballs, he's got a hand on the wrist of his hand, he's got a watch, and he is just locked in, watching the time on that watch. And then surrounding the whole thing, you've got in Roman numerals the numbers of a clock. So that fig is staying tuned.
Yeah.
Tuned into his watch.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. Appreciate the artwork as always.
Thank you.
We got a couple microfictions.
Microfiction.
Time.
Microfiction.
This first one is from The Runk Smash.
What's this mysterious orb? Will the Dark Priest Gates attempt his vengeance again? And how will the captain scratch his nose with his shiny new hook? Find out next time on the exciting conclusion of Tales of the Canarium. Fun. We've got a nice little epilogue there, teasing the future episodes. Thank you, Runk Smash.
I like it. Thank you very much, Runk Smash. We got one more from Stefan S.
Victor Borgnine confers with his supplier. Liger wants U.S. assault kayaks. How long will it take? 8 months, was his retort. We ship from Israeli depot by truck to Afghanistan, then by train to Turkey, across the Black Sea to Odessa. Then we ship to Liger. Or Liger. This was from a fun article back in June. Israel worries U.S. weapons for Ukraine are ending up in Iran's hands. Yeah, no kidding, huh? No kidding. Back in June, that was traceable.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I think they proved to be correct.
Yeah.
Thank you very much to all of our artists, including you, Stefan S. Look, if you're somebody who wants to participate in the culture of the show, create whatever you create, whether it's drawing or writing or audio, whatever you do, go to canarycry.art to upload it there. And if you have an article you want us to consider for the show, go to canarycry.report. Easy peasy, canarycry.art, canarycry.report. You can find it all at canarycry.party.
Oh, am I supposed to hit the button?
I don't know. Whatever you want.
It's been a while but we got support.
Canarycry.support.
I find it strange we still have not gotten a canarycry.art jingle.
That's
okay.
Ironic.
It is ironic, yeah. All right, let's talk Antarctica.
Oh, we're doing Antarctica. Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's do it real fast.
Yep.
So a new discovery. Antarctica.
Advanced Antarctica.
Climate crisis. Penguins.
Quick update, folks. Very important. Antarctica, the most important continent on the planet. And of course, the penguins, who are silently, but with the utmost power and precision, altering the effects of humanity upon the Earth. The headline here from Down to Earth is H5N1 bird flu could wipe out thousands of penguins across Antarctica.
Don't wipe out the penguins.
I know we need the penguins. I think. I don't know. We're still not sure if they're good or bad, but they are definitely powerful. There's been a lot of news about this H5N1 on every continent. There's reporting about the bird flu again. They're getting the bird flu going one more again, and we'll see how it goes. But of course, they're reporting in Africa and Chile and Peru, all around the world. bird flu coming for you. According to reports in the Telegraph, Antarctica has never had an outbreak of bird flu before, so the immunity of its residents is very low. And an unexpected hit of bird flu could result in an exceptional amount of deaths, as the continent is breeding ground for more than 100 million birds. As the climate keeps warming, potential new diseases are entering Antarctica's horizon. Although the disease is predominantly spread among birds, it has been shown to infect mammals too, including seals and sea lions. Scientists believe that once transmitted, the flu in Antarctica will be hard to contain due to the challenges in testing, which leaves only one answer, Gons. You know what it is all together now. Time to vaccinate the penguins.
Oh, no.
We gotta do it.
Oh, I don't like it.
Gotta vax those penguins. We gotta kill all anti-vax penguins, put them in a concentration camp. We gotta vaccinate the penguins.
Oh, no. And they want to eat the penguins, take out their pineal glands.
Vaccination.
It's not looking good. Some of them are going to think
vax will turn them into subservient, compliant citizens of Antarctica.
They will think they are vaccines.
I am vaccine.
Yeah, just the way the rich white liberals would like it before they move into their utopia. Yeah. So there you go, folks. Keep a lookout for penguin vaccines. And thank you to everybody who made this show possible. Thank you to the Clippies. You guys are great.
Flippy. Flippy on those videos. Thanks.
Yeah, go follow the Eclipsed Canary Cry Clips channel on YouTube and Odyssey. And thank you to the Clippies for all your hard work. And thank you to the Timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
Yep, the timestamps go into so much of our back-end processes. We really appreciate it. And thank you to Morgan E. for doing the timestamps for last episode 683.
Yes.
Thank you to Jam for the links. Thank you to everybody who sent in links there. Thank you to Clank for clanking. And other than that, folks, share the show. Hey, maybe you've shared the show in the past. Have you told somebody about the podcast this week? Because that's a very important part of this entire project. If everybody out there would pick one person to tell about the podcast, then we could really gain some ground in this world, you know? And don't think of it as doing it for us. Don't think of doing it for yourself. Think of doing it for them. You know people in your life who need to be reminded once in a while that the mainstream corporate news media does not have their best interests at heart, and they are missing out. Sure, they're locked in. They're locked in on that Israel-Hamas situation. They are getting fed everything that the puppet masters want them to see on the social media. They are absolutely locked in. They're taking sides. They are blind to the bigger narratives going on, and that's what this show is for. This show's not just for giving you the most recent, updates on whatever big thing, but it's teaching you, edifying you, giving you experience and actually deconstructing what's going on behind what's going on. And we all know people who need that, especially Sharon. Aunt Sharon, we didn't forget about Aunt Sharon. Aunt Sharon, she was the target of last week's Share the Show, but we got to give Aunt Sharon another chance. Everybody out there with an Aunt Sharon, maybe you are Aunt Sharon, maybe you're the son or daughter of Aunt Sharon, maybe you work for Aunt Sharon. Whoever you are, there's an Aunt Sharon in your life. Tell Aunt Sharon about the show. Give them specifically this timestamp. I'm talking to you, Aunt Sharon. Hi. Maybe you've never heard this show before. My name's Basil. I'm your new best buddy. And I hope you listen to this podcast, Aunt Sharon, because this is what you need. Look, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. It's very stressful. You're getting pulled in lots of directions. You're feeling very passionate about what's going on. But I want to help you. I want to help you see that the way you are feeling is not all it's not all your fault. There are people at the top of this whole scheme that are weaponizing you, Aunt Sharon, and I want to set you free. You're allowed to have free will. That's okay. I just have some things to show you in this show that might sort of give you some new perspective on all the information you're getting. Aunt Sharon, listen to me. Start this podcast over. Listen to it. I hope you enjoy it. There's going to be a lot of inside jokes and kind of a lot of stuff you don't understand at first, and that's okay. That's okay. Don't let it turn you off, Aunt Sharon. Just give a couple of listen to a couple episodes. It'll all start making sense, and you're going to feel free. You're going to feel free, Aunt Sharon. You're going to feel free for maybe the first time in your life, Aunt Sharon. I love you, Aunt Sharon. We all love you, and we're here for you. Keep listening to the show. That's just one way you can share the show, folks. You don't have to share it that way. You can share it any way you want. But we call it rattling cages. And all you got to do is walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
Human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Gons, any last words?
Sharon. Share
with Sharon.
People talking about the Sharon, Ozzy Osbourne's wife, Sharon Osbourne, in the show. He did a lot of calling for Sharon.
Oh, yeah. No, there's nothing better than explaining the reference after you do the joke.
Also, just a real quick, to wrap up Nephilim penguins there. That whole thing with the vaccines of the penguins, it's got to be a false flag. To cover up the fact that Nephilim penguin have existed for millennia, they need the cover story to create the Nephilim penguin.
It's true.
So bird flu.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We hope you tune in again next time. But until then, think outside the cage. It's been killed.
This is the way.
I love the Great Reset.
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
Toilets! Toilets! Feed him more.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Bye!
This is the patience of the saints. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with a sword. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God in the faith of Jesus. In the faith of Jesus. We count them happy which endure. You have heard of the patience of Job.
the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God in the faith of Jesus. In the faith of Jesus.
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Canary, cry, that's a
Bye. I'm out of here. Bye.